The embodiment of hating your life because you feel like there's so much better out there in your life is basically mediocrity incarnate. That's basically Squidward embodying this gag. He lives underwater. Let's get into it. According to the official Nickelodeon website, Squidward Tentacles is SpongeBob's not so happy neighbor who would do anything to get away from him. He likes playing his clarinet, and he wants peace and quiet. He likes art, bubble baths, reading. Let's get into it. Since he's a gag character, he can pretty much do any power you can think of, depending on what the gag is for the episode. So he's very versatile. You can look at him like he can shapeshift. We've seen him stretch and tangle himself up. We've seen him shrink and change size. Until he's not in existence no more, he just pops back up. He can literally make himself die and have his soul disconnect from his body. Can apparently reality warp and distort reality to make the scenery black and white to change the narrative. Make this make sense? He came out of the sky. Okay. Can literally disappear. Can have multiple limbs. Since he's technically a parody of a squid, he can technically make everybody have clothes from his ink. Like what? Notice how he's right here next to SpongeBob, and then he can just warp behind him. If he's in a dimension alone, he can get out of that said dimension that appears to be infinite in size. Just like any character, he can more than likely use every element. In this occasion, he's like Magma Man, so he can blast with magma. Yeah, SpongeBob literally fused with everybody. Yep, Squidward can unfuse beings because of his quantum negatrons, aka negativity. He can unfuse beings because of the gag. Yes, I'm including comics because these goofy cartoons don't have continuity, so I said, why not? Just like any other character like SpongeBob, they're practically immortal thanks to the cartoon physics being distorted. Like this, he can literally shake it off to go back to normal. There was actually an episode where he had learned karate along with the other cast. Yeah, you know how Sandy and SpongeBob always practice karate. Squidward joined in on the practice. Of course, it took training because he was an amateur at first. Yeah, regeneration from this kind of stuff. They're very small beings. If SpongeBob and Patrick were to lift their own house, it's really not that impressive because their house is probably smaller than a normal human in real life. So that wouldn't even be impressive to us, really. But it is impressive Squidward, SpongeBob, and etc. can lift many times their own weight still, so they're way stronger than what their size would suggest. We've even seen him kick dumpsters, so there's weight behind his hits. The way this clarinet in this universe works, the music can actually be physically strong to hit beings. Squidward can blast people's skin off with the clarinet. His blast power can even hurt ghosts or spirit beings. He can put SpongeBob to sleep. The most impressive thing is that he can damage SpongeBob himself, somebody that can withstand a lot of stuff, but also cause buildings to collapse in real life, his blast power. So despite them lacking size, he has enough blast power with his clarinet, sound manipulation to actually blast down buildings. There's also implications he can change his size similar to SpongeBob, to where there's times where SpongeBob will get literally as big as the moon. In the comics and in the animation, you see him like literally the actual size of the moon. We've seen SpongeBob become the size of countries or even continents, or even become the planet itself. Squidward can affect SpongeBob when it comes to his goofy durability. If we assume he's on the same gag level as SpongeBob and stuff, considering that SpongeBob can get as large as moons and stuff, this would imply that building shattering isn't his limit, but he can basically harm beings that can get as big as the moon like SpongeBob, like a moon-sized SpongeBob, proving he can hit hard enough to shake planetoids like the moon. And then if we look at the fact SpongeBob can get bigger than planets like the Earth, or become the Earth itself, Squidward being able to damage a being with such a high level of gag like this would pretty much imply he can produce enough energy to move planetoids, considering that SpongeBob can get as big as the Earth or become the Earth. There's even moments when Squidward was like dang near close to planet size, implying that he can grow that large too, you know? Pretty much any main character in this universe can survive ridiculous stuff like planets exploding, Squidward included in this discussion, stuff that can make a black hole, that can suck in the whole solar system, and then it was in a parallel universe. Stuff like this Squidward can survive. Not to mention damaging SpongeBob like this when you gotta realize that SpongeBob literally has a pocket universe in his brain that has actually a sun in his, like literally dimension in his body. Squidward can harm this being, crack this same being that has a literal universe inside his head with a sun, implying, just like the rest of the cast, he's more than likely to destroy the sun too. This is a universe SpongeBob created that has a whole bunch of stars in it, for example. Here you can see Squidward being bigger than continents. There's actually implications, just like how SpongeBob can shatter the universe, there's implications Squidward can too. He can bring fake stuff to life because all of this was in his head. In a way, if you say he could bring this kind of stuff to life, you could argue he can bring his very own universe to life because dreams in the SpongeBob universe or stuff like that are considered like parallel dimensions, apparently.
Dreams have been thought of as windows to another realm.
Similar to how we've seen SpongeBob on screen destroy the Milky Way galaxy and then the universe. Squidward being able to destroy, create his own universe makes a lot of sense in this universe, especially since dreams are gateways to other dimensions. He can just create, and dreams literally physically have effects on the real world if somebody physically goes in their dream. dreams. Like how we literally saw Plankton go in SpongeBob's brain and he was physically able to interact with the dimension in his brain physically. It's kind of like that with dreams too. Like you can physically go into their universe. And similar to how the other SpongeBob cast, like Squidward was like in a void. He can literally stomp himself out of this dimension. Or similar to how Patrick can rip the actual comic or a big chunk of the universe. There's a good assumption that Squidward can do the same. I look at it like this. If Squidward can interact with the actual real writers, he can definitely mess up the universe. This kind of stuff is normal. In Raw Speed, we've seen Squidward keep up with SpongeBob and Patrick. There's been times where SpongeBob has chased after Squidward and he couldn't easily just walk him down in speed. So this is important because we've seen characters like Patrick run from the Earth to the sun in an extremely short amount of time. If my calculations are correct, I estimated about 13 seconds. If I did all the math correctly, that would mean Squidward is a bare minimum over 70 times faster than the speed of light. If we assume he's similar to SpongeBob and Patrick's running speed, you can argue faster for Squidward when it comes to occasions like this. He was literally in a void dimension by himself, and apparently he ran around this whole thing. This could be way faster than the speed I already showed you. But how fast do you think he is? How strong do you think he is? Silly, fun video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Smash that like button for me real quick, and thanks for the donations, everybody. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.